So for taco night, I've showed you how to make sour cream. You've got the meat seasoned perfectly with that homemade taco seasoning we put together. Now what else do you need? Salsa. Now a lot of stores do sell salsa here, but they are usually the imported food stores and the salsas can be quite expensive. As usual, if you can't find it, make it. So we're gonna do that today. Now, I use a food processor for my salsa, and I recommend if you're gonna be doing a lot of cooking, you invest in a food processor. I used to do this recipe by hand, just finely dicing all the vegetables. But once I bought a food processor, it made the process so much easier, saved me a ton of headache and a lot of time. The food processor does all the work for you. So if you don't have one already, I highly suggest investing in a decent food processor. It helps with many recipes, this salsa one especially. Now, if you don't have one, like I said, you can follow along with this recipe still. You're just gonna have to dice everything up very finely by hand, which is an option for you. I used to do that. It takes a while, but it is doable. As usual, we're using ingredients that are easy to find locally, no matter where you're living or should be. I know here in Chenzhou, I can find all of these ingredients at the local supermarket downstairs. And I've seen them in many different shops, bodegas included. Well, maybe not bodegas. Usually these ingredients should be readily available at any shop nearby. Let's get over there and let's make a nice, fresh, homemade salsa. Here's all you're gonna need to make fresh salsa. You need 1 yellow pepper, 1 small green pepper. Now, if you don't want to use yellow peppers and just green peppers, then go with a large green pepper. 1 onion, some fresh cilantro. I'm going to use a whole head of garlic because I like a lot of garlic in my salsa. Tomatoes. Now, I like to use cherry tomatoes because you can just rip off the stems and throw them into the food processor whole. Much simpler than cutting. But if you're going to use normal tomatoes, then this recipe calls for 2 large tomatoes or 3 to 4 smaller tomatoes. You're going to need your seasonings, some cumin, some fresh black pepper, red pepper. And now for me, I like my salsa to have a little bit of a sauciness to it. So I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of this Chinese hot sauce in the mix. You can use a hot sauce of your choice, whatever brand you want, or don't. It's completely optional. You can just do without the sauce and it'll be more of a pico de gallo type salsa. Alright, so you've got everything cut up. You can rough chop your onions and peppers. The food processor is going to do most of the work for you, so just get them small enough to throw in. So first, going with your tomatoes. This is about 300 to 400 grams of cherry tomatoes. And then go in with your peppers and onions. Again, I like to use the yellow peppers to add some color. You could use orange pepper as well. Or to stick to just green peppers. All okay, it's up to you. Then I'm going with my garlic. Again, I like garlic, so I put a whole head in, but you can do more or less, up to you. The cilantro. And then you want to go in with whatever sauce of your choice. I just put a little bit, just to add a little bit of a saucy base. Then go in with your cumin. I'd say about a tablespoon, maybe 2, depending on your tastes. Again, that's the nice thing about making salsa yourself. You can tweak the flavor. Fresh red pepper. You could use red pepper, chili pepper, paprika, whatever you want to use. Pop on your lid. Now, if you don't have a food processor, you could do all of this by hand and just finely dice everything. I used to do that before I bought a food processor. But if you are going to be cooking a lot in the kitchen, invest in a food processor. It'll save you a ton of headache in the long run. And there you have a nice, fresh, beautiful salsa. Now that you could serve this right away, but if you leave it in the refrigerator for a couple of hours, even overnight, the flavors are going to marry together and it's going to be much, much more flavorful. I recommend making this at least a few hours before you're going to serve it, if not the day before. Again, fresh, colorful. That is so good. That is better than any can, jar, store-bought salsa I've had. And everything's crunchy, fresh, because we made it just now. Put this in an airtight container of your choice, and keep in the refrigerator for probably 3 to 4 days. If it can last that long, I would probably end up eating this in a day or two.